Welcome back to the Tribal Lines podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Lupo, and here to co-host with me today is the one and only Chayne Robinson. Chayne, how you doing?
Yo, what's good, my guy?
I'm so happy that you're finally able to come on to one of my podcasts with me to recap. Chayne and I go way back to BBTG days.
Oh yeah.
If anybody knows what that is, it's a Big Brother game on an app on your phone. And my first time ever playing, he was my first ever alliance, and we weren't allowed to text outside of the app. And apparently, because we exchanged numbers, he got evicted the very next morning. We never got to play together, but we've been talking about reality shows ever since and been good friends. And I'm glad we finally got you back on.
Bro, I forgot about that game. That shit was messy, low key. Oh my God.
I know, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
thank you
Oh,
so much for hopping on.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I bailed twice, so I figured I might as well eventually, right?
Right, right, exactly. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, this season obviously is a lot different in terms of the podcast for the Tribal Lines podcast. Instead of doing episode recaps for every single episode, we're doing it for different stages of the game. We were able to do the premiere, and now here's our second recap episode for the entire rest of the pre-merge. And we had probably one of the best pre-merges of the entire new era. And it's crazy to say that when one tribe went to tribal so many times also, and yet we still can say that it's one of the best pre-merges. I love it.
Oh yeah, no. The OG Vul members probably carried though, especially the dynamics between Say, Mary, Cedric. That core was crazy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. They definitely caused a lot of chaos. Um, Honestly, they caused a lot of chaos, that's for sure, and it helped make for good episodes. But at the same time, Mm, I mean, I guess towards the end of all of the tribal councils, we started liking certain characters, but I feel like a lot of people love Mary, but hate Say and hate Cedric, and probably hated Justin and like Stephanie. There's just a lot of people in the Green Tribe. I feel like people were not that upset to see go, but also were annoyed that they kept going to tribal because like we don't want to see them on our screens.
Yeah, no. I mean, I feel like I just remember seeing I feel like I saw at least. I mean, I'm on Twitter a lot, low key, but I feel like Stephanie, they were bummed out about Kevin. I mean, I'll fuck with both of them.
I love Kevin.
Just, I feel like Justin, nobody really cared about, but it was just the fact that he got blindsided because of a almost a rock draw. Very shot in the dark, didn't go, went through. So he blindsided Justin after voting to keep him twice. That's the only reason why his got like so much buzz.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, those are all the Vul members I've went out so far. And then, I mean, did not like say at all at first. Now, after that third tribal council, she's one of my favorites for sure.
Literally
Uh,
same. Like going into like after the premiere, I said in the podcast that like I really don't like Say. I want her gone as soon as possible. She annoys the crap out of me. And then every single tribal, or at least while she was still on green, just kept building and building for me and just make me like her more and more. To after that tribal, I'm like, well, I guess after the second tribal, I really liked her. And then she kind of went a little bit back down after the next tribal, but Say is just a great character, and it's less so now that I want her out of the game because I don't like her. It's just like, now I don't care if she leaves or not. Like I like having her on the screen because she's very entertaining. She's always causing some sort of chaos, even when she is the person who's supposed to be voted out, and then somehow she ends up not being voted out. I'm super shocked that she's even still in this game after what we've seen during this pre-merge. But I mean, kudos to her. Like a lot of her moves, I think, are terrible moves, yet she's still here. She's doing something right. So, I mean, she's she's got her own gameplay, but it's working for her very well.
Bro, I don't want to say she's low key carrying, but like she kind of is.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like we were just talking about it earlier, like she's got the rest of her castmates pressed. Especially even fucking, I was telling you before about Thomas. I saw like on Twitter, he replied to someone's Instagram post talking shit about Say, when in reality, like, bro, she wanted to work with your number one, my guy. What are you doing here?
Yeah, no, seriously. So I don't know. There's something must have happened outside the game or something. Or maybe Say gets voted out soon and has like an argument with Thomas in Ponderosa. Who knows? I don't know.
Oh
But
yeah.
I doubt it because like usually the people at Ponderosa get really close.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm more leaning towards she is gonna be on the jury because
I think she goes deep too.
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the best moments and the most exciting moments from each episode. So first, let's dive into episode two. The first thing I want to mention about this episode was the journey. So the journey was Thomas, Mitch, and Mary, and three completely different things happened for them, which allowed us to see the differences on each tribe, which was nice. Thomas got to steal a vote, and he told everyone that he lost his vote, which I actually think, out of all the things that have happened on the journeys this entire season, that was the smartest thing to do. Because
Mhm.
usually the first vote is generally unanimous. So if that is the case, then you losing your vote is not going to be that big of a deal because there'll probably be enough votes where it doesn't show that you lost your vote. And you can kind of sway it to be like, okay, I don't want anyone to find out that I lost my vote. So I will make sure that the vote is all going on one person, even if it's maybe not the person I want, at least it's all going to be on the same person, like making sure the vote isn't split, stuff like that. Um, so I liked that from Thomas. Mitch block a vote, but he tells the truth. He tells his entire tribe, "Hey guys, I have a block a vote to help our tribe." That is something that I want to hear your opinion on because that can go either way. That could be really smart because then it bonds your tribe for a tribe swap and makes you think that that can be used to their advantage, not only at a tribe swap, but also in the merge. But at the same time, now everyone knows your advantage, and that could possibly put a target on your back because of the people who don't want to work with you now have a reason to target you because if they don't want to work with you and you have an advantage, that's more power against them. So what do you think?
Yeah, no, I feel like with Thomas and Mitch, two completely different situations, right? You got Thomas over on Moggy gets the first of all, I didn't like how they got two different advantages. Like, why couldn't they get the same one? I don't know. I guess one doesn't really I guess they both have like similar like levels of power. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
then
Stale vote definitely has more power, but I don't think it was like Thomas gets this and Mitch gets this. It's they were told at the beginning like choose a path. So
oh
each
yeah,
path
that's
had a
right.
different advantage. So that's part of the randomness of Survivor nowadays. So
Oh yeah, that's right. Forgot
yeah,
about that. But yeah, I mean, love how Thomas told everyone he lost his vote. I mean, I don't know who started this trend of, oh, if you get an idol or an advantage, tell the whole tribe. Like,
right.
are you fucking dumb? Like, no, that's not what you do. Like, you keep that shit to yourself. What are you doing? And
Hmm.
then you got Mitch over here, told the whole tribe, and then he got super close to Charity, who's everyone just shunned because the way she likes her steak cooked. And now
Right.
he literally put himself on the bottom, not by telling everyone and getting super close to Charity. So they're both kind of fucked either way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that definitely hurt. I feel like hurt him at least at that moment at that point in the episodes. I'm feeling like, oh, that's not going to be great for him. But he's made it through and he still has it. So maybe it is going to be good for him. Especially because now if they wanted to get Charity out, they can get Charity out and then pull Mitch back into the fold. Because they're not like if they were just on a tribe and they knew Mitch was going to have to be next, then obviously they're not working with Mitch. But here, if they get rid of Charity, Mitch doesn't have to be next. So I think that prove well for Mitch, honestly. And then we have Mary losing her vote, but she tells the truth, and that doesn't backfire for her at all because we realize that even though she's supposed to be the next one out, the entire vote is actually between Say and Kevin, and Mary's not even considered for the vote anymore. So that, really worked well for her, especially having Kevin try to get the vote to be Say.
No, Mary's low-key playing the best game out of everyone on that tribe. She's been on the bottom since day one. Literally, like the last two tribal councils she's been to where she should have gone. I remember she was like, oh, la, la, la. Like, just fucking around, like pretending like, oh, she's giving up, like, or she has something. They all took the bait and she's still there.
Hmm. I also love
Literally.
her like standing right next to Say and then just out of nowhere just darting off, but not she's not even looking for
Mhm.
idols. She just wants Say to chase her. It's so funny.
So she's cracked.
She is correct. I love Mary so much.
Hmm.
Um, Okay, so the other big things before Tribal Council that happened was Star finding the Beware advantage, telling everyone except for Eva, and then Thomas wants to lose the decoder, so that Star can't crack the code and will keep having her vote lost and not get the idol. Now, did they destroy the decoder? No, but I did predict in the premiere podcast that based on the scenes from the next episode, that Star was going to find the Beware advantage, and then Shaheen was going to get told this from Star, and then Shaheen was going to try to sabotage it so that she couldn't crack the code. Turns out it ended up being Thomas, but I did,
Yeah.
guess that that was going to be a storyline, and so I was very happy with that bold prediction.
Yeah. I mean, poor Star, but like she's not doing herself any favors either, telling everyone
Right.
she's idol. I mean, Ava, those two have had an interesting relationship this whole game. Thomas, absolutely cruel. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
He's brutal. Wants to burn her clothes. God
I
damn.
love it. I think he should have done it.
Mhm.
I think Shaheen should have been like if Shaheen didn't want to work with Star, Shaheen should have been because Shaheen didn't want to do it himself because then that would lose trust with Star. He should have told Star like, "Hey, I'm gonna give it to Thomas so that he can help you figure it out too, since Star knows that Thomas also knows." And then let Thomas do what he wants to it, and then that will make Thomas the bad guy instead of Shaheen. So
Mhm.
but I guess Shaheen thought it was a better idea to try to work with Star just in case they don't go to tribal, then, Star trusts Shaheen 100% because I don't know if it was Shaheen and Joe or just Shaheen, but one of the first people that Star told was Shaheen. So I think Shaheen is Star's number one in
Mhm.
this game, which is good for him.
I also think Shaheen is Star's number one, but I believe it was she told Joe and then he told Shaheen. Or no, I think you might be right,
I
actually.
think it might have been she told Shaheen and then Shaheen asked to tell Joe.
Yeah,
Um,
probably. You're probably right.
I don't remember, but I
It was
I think
definitely
that
those
sounds
two were
right.
the first two to know for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but they were definitely the first two to know, so that shows that they're good with them. So I guess that makes sense for not wanting to burn it and actually try to help her. They probably would
Mhm.
have maybe got rid of Bianca, and also they were also talking about how Joe and Eva are so close, so they were considering Eva too. So there was a lot of up in the air. I think they were just trying to edit that Star was going to be the one going home so much because I
Mhm.
think Star is going to be one of the early boots of the merge. The
Yeah.
probably one of the two mergatory boots. Um,
Honestly, it sounds like everyone on Logi except for Joe and Shaheen was up in the air at some point. Everyone was a target.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Stars on borrowed time. I feel like she probably would have. I was gonna say she probably would have been the tribe if they were to go to tribal. She would have been the boot, but I don't know. Thomas and Bianca were starting to be willing to work with her towards the end. to get
no,
Ava
yes,
out.
but also they both. So Thomas had a vote, but
Yeah,
Bianca didn't.
yeah.
And
Oh, right.
Eva is the one who solved the riddle, like the puzzle for Star in this last episode.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the fact that they hadn't been able to crack the code the entire time was probably because Eva was not in on it. Everyone else
No,
was.
not
The
at
fact
all.
that Eva solved it, I don't know if they would have solved it. So then Star wouldn't have had an idol. Star would have had no vote. Bianca would have had no vote. And then I feel like Star would have been a casualty. Or
Yeah, for sure.
they only if Shaheen would have turned on Eva would they have possibly gotten that to happen. But I doubt that would have
Doubt
happened.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, it would have
Um,
been Star, Bianca, or Thomas for sure. 'Cause they
yeah.
were like they were probably on the bottom of the loggy, it seemed like.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and Kyle finds the Beware advantage, tells his majority four of David, Camilla, and Chrissy, and then Camilla is the one who like solely solves the puzzle for him and just gives him the idol. So the complete kind of like the Eva Star thing, except Star decides to give the idol to Eva for solving it. Um, which we'll definitely get to, but that was
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Hmm.
But also could be smart. Like I don't know if she did it for the reason why I think it's smart, but it ended up I think it might actually help Star if she's in as good social standing as she thinks she is. Because she's not. She's not in good social standing, Star. But if she was, like she thinks she is. So if she thinks she is, I feel like um giving the idol to Eva now puts a target on Eva's back because now everyone's gonna probably know that Eva has the idol. And then I feel like whenever you have an idol, it could get you kind of far because people are afraid to go after you because you could play your idol successfully, but it also makes your name pop up a ton because people are always thinking, is this the time to blindside her with her idol? So her name is always going to be, I feel like, in people's mouths. Does it mean that she'll be the vote? Probably not. But having a target on your back at all is not good for winning purposes. Maybe you can get far, but if you have an idol and your name is constantly being talked about and then you constantly not don't go home, you're going to be taken out before the end.
Yeah, I think Ava's definitely gonna be a threat, talked about a lot. She's pretty strong. She has an idol. Her and Joe, we'll talk about that more later, obviously. Her and Joe were basically outed as a duo last week by Jeff. So, yeah, I mean, I think Star goes sooner than later, but I don't think Ava's gonna make a deep run either. I'm not gonna lie.
Right, right. And I mean, Joe has a lot of allies, but he's also in a duo and a very strong competitor. So he could also be a possible target if it, unless his social alliances end up working out for him, then maybe he doesn't get voted out anytime soon. But I definitely see him being blindsided, probably mid-merge, but I feel like he's gonna have the relationships to make it probably to final eight or final seven, like around there. I think that could be when he finally goes home. Um, and something I just wanted to say before Tribal is I think it's really funny that David and first Kyle and David's react interaction where Kyle thinks it's awesome that David li is living in an RV outside of his parents' house. Like, oh, it's so cool. And David's like, no, it's not. I'm 30
Yeah,
something
that
years
was
old
funny.
living outside of my parents' house.
Yeah, that was funny as fuck.
That
And
was
then
hilarious.
we got David saying his girlfriend's gonna leave him if he doesn't win. But then 2 episodes later, when the after the tribe swap happens, he's the only guy on the swap tribe. He's telling everyone he's single. Like, buddy, which one
Right.
is it?
He's saying like, listen, I really want a family, but my girlfriend broke up with me, and if so, but I thought your girlfriend didn't break up with you, that she would break up with you if you lost the game because you didn't have enough money. I have no idea. I think the whole situation is ridiculous. I think whoever David is dating is ridiculous. But just the way David's talking about it at the same time, like even though her she's probably like this a terrible person for not wanting to be with him because he doesn't make enough money. Like the fact that David is talking about all of this and how awful she is on live on TV, like do you really, even if you win Survivor, do you think she's gonna want to be with you after you're bad mouthing her on television?
Oh no, dude, I would bet the house that I bet they were definitely together at the time he was in Fiji, but they've definitely broken up by then because they filmed like what, last May? They filmed Survivor 48.
Yeah,
It's been,
I bet you they're broken up by now because there's no way David won this this season.
oh, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say they broke up just because he didn't win, but like, sounds like he was in a fucked up situation.
Yeah, right. Um, and David loves milk.
Yeah, big chocolate milk guy.
Big chocolate milk guy, hates water.
Oh yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's quickly talk about this tribal. Kevin is pushing hard for Say to be blindsided to get rid of the idol because then if the idol is gone, then they'll be able to uh it'll be replanted and they might be able to find it for themselves. And also he wants to save Mary, but Cedric wants to keep Say. So Cedric tells Say to play the idol because she's about to get voted out, but to still vote Mary instead of Kevin, who he also told her is the one who wanted her out in the first place. And then so Say ends up playing the idol unsuccessfully because she didn't need to. But she also votes for Kevin and doesn't listen to Cedric. And then she gets blindsided by Cedric and Justin because they all voted for Kevin when they said they were going to be voting for Say uh, in order to get the idol out. So now Say played her idol and was lied to, even though she was saved, she was lied to by Justin and Cedric. So that caused a lot of distrust going into the next tribal, which was an insane tribal. Something I do want to mention, though, which I want to talk about and hear your opinion on, is why
Yeah.
in the hell did Justin think that this was a good idea, taking out Kevin? Kevin's number one ally was Justin. It was so obvious. It was not said, but it was so obvious. Kevin's number one ally was Justin. And Justin is the one who comes up with this plan to blindside Kevin. Why?
It
It
was
made
awful.
no sense to me.
Oh
It
my
was the
God.
dumbest move. Justin's an absolute moron for this move. What do you think?
No, that was awful. I mean, they were clearly number ones. They were both could have rode the middle at least until the swap. Like, I can't explain that. You really can't. They could have been riding the middle. Now they both went out back to back.
Yeah,
It's crazy how that happens.
ridiculous. At least Kevin's gonna have a coupon at Luigi's Pizza.
Definitely. Oh, big time.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into episode three. And we have another journey. And this journey is the most unfair of all the journeys I've ever seen
Oh
on
my God.
in this new era. This is ridiculous. You're rolling dice. And the Thomas Bianca conversation, like dice. Like, yeah, dice. How is that a challenge at a journey? That's ridiculous. Like it probably is even better, honestly, to just like kind of like draw rocks where you're just like picking out of a bag. Like you're really just gonna have them roll dice and whatever it lands on that is. I mean, I guess it's more exciting for the viewers, but like they didn't even really show that much. Um, it was complete chance. Justin loses his vote. Um, Something hilarious that I really wanted to mention about this is so regardless of if Justin stayed in the game or not, he said that instead of saying that he lost his vote, he said that he had to roll dice to decide if the tribe was gonna get reward number one or reward number two. Doesn't know what the rewards are. We're gonna find out in the morning. It's gonna be dropped off at the camp in the morning. Okay, if Justin survived that tribal without them knowing that he lost the vote, it was gonna be outed that because there was gonna be no reward the next morning at the camp.
Wait, did he say that in the episode or in an interview?
In the episode,
Oh
he
shit.
told the entire tribe that he had to roll like fire, like he said like the fire and the skulls on the dice, and then whichever one that he rolled more of, that's the reward that was going to be given to the his camp in the morning. So like if he survived that tribal, everyone was going to know that he was lying once there was no reward there the next morning. So I don't know what his strategy was for that lie. It was so stupid.
No, it sounds like he would have been screwed either way.
Yeah.
But like, no, about that journey, they're literally being forced against their will to play Yahtzee
Yeah.
for an extra vote. Like, what? Why, what's with all these losing votes here? Like, you're supposed to vote someone out in Survivor, and you can't vote.
hmm
How does that make sense?
No, it really doesn't. It's ridiculous. I feel like the journeys are, I think, a good idea, but I think one, they should always be challenges. Two, I think it would be a lot more fun to have two people win advantages and one person lose their vote, or just have like I don't know, maybe like two people go on the journey or something and then have it be head to head or whatever. But I think having the players play against each other rather than against a time limit would be more exciting. And I think you should be giving them the opportunity to play or not play. If they want to keep their
Mhm.
vote, they should be able to keep their vote. It should be about risk and reward, not all right, you're on Survivor, so you're going to be forced to have a risk or reward. Like no, you should be like, do you want to risk it for the reward? That's what it should be. That would make it more fun and also fairer. I don't love this, but it is what it is. And Bianca also gets screwed by this because she loses her vote and also tells a lie to her tribe, saying that she chose not to risk her vote, just like Thomas said that he chose not to risk his vote, which, in terms of the purple tribe, makes it believable because out of the only people who have been on journeys have said that they had a choice. So until the tribe swap, they are under the impression that you always have a choice when you go to the journeys. So it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to trust, like let's say Camilla trying to tell Shaheen and Joe that Thomas is lying because Mitch said he didn't have a choice. It's
Mhm.
hard to trust that she's being honest because of two things. One, uh, they're not on the same tribe, so obviously they're trying to pit them against each other because they're on the bottom. And two, Thomas and Bianca said that they had a choice. So, what are the odds that they both lied is probably what's going through their mind.
I mean, they're number ones for a reason, right? Like, clearly they're on the same page.
hmm Yeah. And so but now that Thomas is out, I mean, this lie is not going to really travel very far into the game. I would have been very interesting if Thomas, Mitch, and Camilla and Shaheen all end up coming together at the merge and actually like now distrusting each other because
Mhm.
Thomas is lying and Mitch is obviously going to tell the truth. So now that probably would have put Thomas and Mitch against each other, and that could have been an exciting beginning to the merge.
Mhm.
So we were robbed of something good.
Thomas is a fallen soldier, gone too soon.
Gone too soon, gone too soon. So something I really want to talk about now, which I've been excited about talking about since this episode aired, is this episode 3 tribal. This was a crazy vote, and in one way or another, every single person on this tribe was an absolute moron, a fucking idiot. Every single one
God.
was so dumb. I think the smartest one out of all, no, no, they were all dumb. They're all morons, everything they did. And I'm excited to talk about them and hear your views on it. So, what pretty much happened was Cedric and Say voted for Mary. Justin doesn't have a vote from the journey. And Mary no longer has a vote after using the shot in the dark, and her shot in the dark ends up being safe. And then those two votes are now nullified. They go into a revote. Say votes for Justin, Cedric for Say, and then another revote happens. The same people vote for the same people, And it's now an idea of will they go to Rocks or not? And we find out from Jeff because Mary and Justin don't have a vote and Say is part of the tie, Cedric has the sole vote to vote anyone out that he wants in that tie. And after voting for Say twice in a row, he changes his mind and votes for Justin, his closest ally, who he just protected so hard by voting for Say twice. And meanwhile, the reasoning that Cedric gave on the episode for it was like, listen, like I don't want all of this back and forth between you two girls. Like if you guys can make up, then I will save you, Say. Like, are you absolutely out of your mind? Like one, the chances they make up are slim, however they did, which was great. But don't I think the reason Say tried to make up was because she doesn't trust Cedric anymore, and now she wants to work with Mary because she probably trusts Mary more because they didn't go against each other because they didn't trust each other. They went against each other because they realized both of them are great competitors and big threats in the game. So that really backfired on Cedric. That was probably the worst tribal council for Cedric at like out of all of them. And he had a lot of bad tribal councils. And he was literally the only one who was safe, technically, going into that trial. Nobody was even considering voting for him, yet he came out of the tribal probably the worst out of everyone, um, which is ridiculous. So Cedric voting out Justin after writing Say's name down, moron. Justin for not telling Cedric about him not having a vote. And then it showed that he wasn't putting up a fight, but we find out that it was the longest tribal council in Survivor history, and Justin was actually fighting really hard, but that they just showed the very ending to edit it as if like Say did this amazing job fighting back.
Hmm.
Um, and then what else? We got Say not voting for Justin and voting for Mary. Um,
Yeah, that was.
which would have just sent Justin home automatically. And she thought that Mary had something, and also was after she played her shot in the dark was saying, "I told you guys, I told you so, I told you so." Like she didn't have an idol. All she did have was have a shot in the dark. And then when it landed, she was like, "I knew it, I knew it." It was like, how do you? It was a 1 in 6 shot. How did you call it? Like, are you serious?
She was
So
just feeling like Mary was gonna end up. I mean, she called it that. Technically, called it that Mary
yeah,
was gonna end up being safe after tribal, but
I guess,
she
yeah.
just didn't have an idol.
Right, right, exactly.
But
So Say not voting
yeah,
for Justin, moron. Justin not telling Cedric about the vote when he's your closest ally, and you guys could have totally figured something out together, moron. Mary,
not moron.
no, no, no. Mary's a moron too. Because
I think she did.
she was safe because of the shot in the dark, but she would have went home if the shot in the dark failed. There was a 5 out of 6 chance that she was going home that round. Why did she try to convince them that she had an idol to split the vote? Because even if the vote was split, still Mary would have ended up going home because on the revote they had still majority 3-1. So they and she was gonna have no vote. So it just made no sense. Like she was going home no matter what, if she didn't have an idol, because even with the vote split, she still would have went home. So why is she not going crazy trying to look for an idol? Because I'm pretty sure there was an idol on the beach. After Say used hers, nobody seems to have found it. So there was an idol out there that Mary could have found, but just tried to convince them to put all of their votes on someone in their alliance instead of because the splitting wouldn't have worked. And the chances that they were going to put all of their votes on one particular person was definitely not worth the risk of like just going around and trying to look for an idol. So I thought that made Mary a moron. So all four of them morons.
Not
But
gonna lie, my
Say is
guy.
probably the least moronic out of all of them in that tribal, to be honest.
I mean, I feel like, I mean, yeah, I agree. Say kind of, not really kind of moronic, but. I disagree with you on Mary. If anything, I feel like she played it smart. If was out scrambling looking for an idol and then she couldn't like decode the beware advantage in time, yeah, she might have been screwed without a vote too. She had to play her shot in the dark, had to like do some convincing. I think she played it well, as at least as best as she could, you know?
I guess, yeah, if there was another beware advantage and she couldn't decode it, then she would be kind of screwed. But I don't know. I feel like if you're given the opportunity at an idol and all you have to do is decode a puzzle before tribal council, compared to have a 1 in 6 chance of being safe from a shot in the dark, I feel like are you more than 1 out of 6 confident that you could decode a puzzle? Is kind of like where you're at. Like if you suck at puzzles, then yeah, maybe shot in the dark is your best chance. But I feel like Mary is a smart enough girl to be able to solve a puzzle if she found a beware advantage before tribal council. So I don't know.
She seems smart. I just don't think she wanted to look for the idol, honestly.
I think she literally was just like, I'm sick and tired of being on the bottom. Like, let me just enjoy my last day. And if I can convince them to vote out one of their own while doing it, then amazing. But so yeah,
No, exactly. You're spot on.
yeah.
You're spot on there.
Also, something that I wanted to mention is Justin's chance of going home because a lot of talk has been in the Survivor community about how unfair it was for Justin and that he was kind of like screwed because he was not going home unless this journey if this journey didn't happen or if he was able to choose or if he was able to compete in an actual challenge, maybe this wouldn't have happened. So the probability of this happening was actually extremely low and something that I wanted to mention because it was very shocking to me. So I remember he got chosen by, I forgot who it was, but he got chosen to go on to the journey by someone from another tribe, from the winning tribe. And it had to be someone who had not already gone on a journey. So there was a 1 in 3 chance that he was going to be picked from his tribe to go on the journey. Then there was a 50% chance that he was going to lose the dice challenge. So that right now is a 1 in 6 chance of that happening. And then for the shot in the dark to be safe, that was also a 1 in 6 chance of happening. If that didn't happen, Justin also would have been safe. So if you calculate the probability of this happening, it was a 1 in 36 chance that Justin was going to go home this episode, and he did. 2.78% chance he was going to get screwed over, and he did. So
Man.
meanwhile, maybe Justin should have had a little bit of a better case to Cedric. Maybe he should have told Cedric about losing the vote. I understand all that. Not great gameplay on his part there, but he still would have been safe if it wasn't for this like less than 3% chance of what happened actually happening. So I do think Justin kind of got screwed here. Even though he didn't have the best gameplay, he should not have went home. And so it's unfortunate that something like this happened. Also, something that was so hilarious is Cedric is now the first person in Survivor history to have voted for every single member of his original tribe within the first 3 episodes. That's
That's
insane.
crazy. He's voted now for with this last episode, he's now voted for 6 out of 17 castaways. So that's
That's
like what?
crazy.
Hold on, I can do. Let me pull up the iPhone calculator real quick.
There you go. I think it's around like 35-ish
35%.
percent. Yeah,
35% of the tribe. So almost like a third of the tribe, basically. Or a third of the cast, you know what I mean?
that's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cedric is ridiculous, and I can't wait to talk about him more very shortly in his episode 5. But let's quickly talk about episode 4. We have a tribe swap, the second one of the new era. And honestly, uh, last time that we had a tribe swap in season 45, it was okay. But this one, I think, was actually a perfect tribe swap because of the way the tribes were swapped. It created a lot of good dynamics and good gameplay, and even people who, no, I don't think any of them could necessarily say that they got screwed, except for Camilla and Kyle. Yet they had two advantages to help them, so it wasn't a complete unfair draw. So I really loved the fairness of this tribe swap. Um, we have purple is David and Charity from their original tribe, and then Eva and who are against each other, and then Eva and Star who are against each other, and Star has the beware advantage, and then there's Mary right in the middle, perfect spot for her. So I was very happy for Mary, because that pretty much guaranteed me her in my eyes merge. Um, and then Orange had Mitch who had a block a vote and Chrissy, who also weren't working together on their original tribe, but from their original tribe. Cedric and Say, who were working together at a point, but Cedric just voted for Say twice. So now there's rivalry there from the original tribe. And then Bianca, who could have been an easy swing vote, but had no vote. So I was so excited for them to go to tribal because that would have been messy because I expected Bianca to stick with the lie the entire time. So I thought that's what we were going to get from episode 5, but we unfortunately didn't. And then Green was a powerhouse of 5 people who I thought had probably the in terms of like winning possibilities. I thought everyone on that tribe was like in the top tier of winners. Like I thought Joe, Shaheen, Thomas, Camilla, Kyle, probably like 5 of maybe the top 7 or 8 in my eyes of like chances of winning the game. So if they went to tribal, I knew a heavy hitter was going home, and we did have a heavy hitter go home. And in that tribe, a lot of advantages. Steal a vote with Thomas, Camilla extra vote, Kyle with an idol, and I definitely want to talk about this tribal. We got Camilla and Kyle pretending like they're Camilla's on the bottom and that they don't want to work with each other and that they weren't working with each other and trying to get the 3 in the majority to vote either Camilla or Kyle out, whoever was not the one like pitching their case to the 3. What did you think about their strategy? And was it smart? Like, did they? I mean, they obviously made the right call, but what do you think about it?
Dude, Kyle and Camilla cooked straight up. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been tight since day one, and even Shaheen was going through Kyle's bag too and everything. Couldn't find his idol. That was if he found that idol, they would have been screwed. It would have been all over for both of them. But no, Camilla's really smart. They were able to convince both all 3 of them they're not tight. And then you got the only problem I had was apparently they didn't show it, but Kyle ended up playing his extra vote. Well,
Mhm.
Camilla's extra vote that wasn't necessary. So they just threw that away basically.
So
So
what
they
I
ended up idling out Thomas, unfortunately.
so what I want to understand is the rules of the extra vote. Can you re-vote with the extra vote, or is it a one and done thing?
I think you can only use it once.
Okay,
But
because
at the
if
first
that's
one,
the
yeah.
case, then it kind of doesn't make sense because if you use the extra vote, then the only way that it would make sense, I guess they were banking on maybe a split vote. Maybe they were thinking
Yeah,
like, oh,
probably.
maybe they'll do 2 votes on Kyle and 1 vote on Camilla or something, and then they can get all 3 votes on Thomas, in case they play the idol on the wrong person. So that's maybe a possibility. But if they were all going on Camilla, let's say, then it would have been 3 on Thomas, 3 on Camilla, and then now they revote. And now, so if that's the case, then Camilla and Kai and Thomas don't vote. So now it's just Kyle.
Camilla's screwed. It'd be 2-1.
It's just Kyle, Joe, and Shaheen, and it would be 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only way that they would have been able to get away with it is if you could re-vote with the extra vote, and I don't think you can.
So it was dumber, if anything. They threw away the extra vote. I don't know why they didn't show him using the extra vote. That's
Well,
what
they
I don't
they
get.
they kind of did because he took it out of his pocket and put it on the table. He didn't show him
Oh,
actually
okay.
writing
I
on it,
missed
but
that.
yeah.
I
So
missed that.
yeah, so I don't think he would have done that just for show, just for the camera. So I think they were like implying that he did use it. Um, But I thought that Kyle and Camilla absolutely pulled off a great move. And I'm so happy that they did. And they realized that it was Kyle, specifically because of the whole commit. They searched through Kyle's bag with Camilla there. So obviously that was them trying to build trust with Camilla, knowing that they were about to vote out Kyle, because if Kyle found out that his bag was being went through, then Kyle wouldn't have trusted them. So it was pretty obvious then that they were going to vote out Kyle. Um, but if that did not happen, they might not have known who was going to be going home because Kyle was trying to get Camilla out and Camilla was trying to get Kyle out. What I think would have been the smarter way for them to guarantee that they would be playing it on the right person is have one of them, let's say Camilla, trying to convince the three of them to vote Kyle out. And then Kyle trying to convince the three of them to turn on each other. Because now we have Camilla trying to get Kyle out, and then Kyle trying to break up their alliance. So now the three of them are going to be like, oh, wow, like he's trying to cause distrust in us, and Camilla already wants Kyle out. Like that could be a solid four. And that would have guaranteed that they were going to vote Kyle out because, like, why would they want to keep someone in the game who is trying to get the the three of them to vote each other out when they're so tight? So I thought that would have been a guaranteed move to be like, oh, obviously they're going to vote out Kyle, and then you play the idol on Kyle. So I think they did play it correctly. They did save Kyle, but I think they made it a lot riskier for them if Camilla had not seen them going through the bag. So that's what I would have done in that situation to make it foolproof. But they still pulled it off. So good for them. And I'm so happy Kyle and Camilla did not go home because honestly, they are my two favorites, and they're also my winner pick and my second winner pick. Like those are my top two. I think one of them is gonna win.
Yeah, no, dude, I'd really like. I'm still riding Joe. Even though he had no confessionals the last episode, and apparently, like winners, if you get apparently winners, all the winners never have an episode with no confessionals, I guess. But maybe, Joe had such a big presence in the last episode with his story about like his dad or whatever, and then the him and Eva moment, which obviously we'll get to in a little bit, but I don't know, just something to think about. But yeah, I really think someone in the Rule of Four, like the new Rule of Four, is gonna end up winning this season for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a Vula four or it's gonna be Mary. I think it's one of those five.
I could see Mary. Yeah, I could totally see Mary, but
Um, okay, so something that I also really quick wanted to ask you about before we get to the final episode of the pre-merge is Thomas now goes home with a steal a vote in his pocket. So I understand why Thomas didn't use the steal a vote, but I want to get your opinion on like, do you think he should have used the steal a vote? Um, do you think he made the right choice not playing the steal a vote? What do you think?
he should have played it. I mean, it would have helped his chances of surviving.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like he probably still would have ended up going home, would have gotten idled out either way. But yeah, it would have helped his chances for sure.
No, he would have been safe. Like Camilla would have then went home if he used his steal a vote because then they
Yeah,
could
but
they
Kyle,
could have
they still would have voted Kyle, and then
no, they would
he
have
still
split
would
it
have.
2-2 if that was the case.
Oh yeah, true, good
And
point.
then if they split it 2-2, even with the extra vote, it would have been 2-2-2 because let's say he steals Kyle's vote, then Kyle now doesn't have a vote, so it would only be Camilla's vote and the extra vote.
Oh yeah,
So no
true.
matter what, Thomas would have been safe if he used to steal a vote. The problem is he doubled down on his lie of not getting an advantage and losing his vote. Um, or oh wait. Oh yeah, wait. Didn't he say he lost his vote when he yes, yes. He did
Yeah,
not
he
say
did.
that he chose not to play the journey, he said that he lost his vote.
Yeah, that's right.
So
He did.
so that's why they couldn't have um that's why
That's
they
why they voted him, and why they all another reason why they voted for him instead of Shaheen or Joe was because I remember I forget who it was, but there was a little tribe bench talk between it was Shaheen and I think it was Shaheen and someone else. I forget who, but they were just talking about how Thomas was lying.
yeah, it was
You know,
Mitch.
I forget who it was, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. But the thing is, now it makes more sense about why the extra vote was used by Kyle because Camilla realized that Mitch was telling the truth, so that means Thomas was lying, which means that there's a 50% chance he has an advantage, but also a 50% chance that he lost his vote. And if that's the case, then the three votes that they would have put down would have outbeaten Joe and Shaheen's two votes. So that's why they used the extra vote, taking a 50% chance that Thomas did lose his vote.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
Okay.
definitely
Yeah, I
makes more
think
sense.
so. I think I remember that correctly. I think Thomas said he lost his vote. So
Yeah,
that definitely makes more sense why they used the extra vote. Um,
hmm
yeah,
definitely.
I think that it was honestly he went home, so obviously if he used a steal vote it would have been better. But I don't think they really knew that Kyle had the idol, especially because they went through the
They didn't.
bag. So I'm think so if Thomas let's say they like knew for sure that Kyle and Camilla did not have an idol, then if Thomas was to use the steal a vote, one, it would have been for no reason because Kyle would have went home if he didn't have the idol. And two, it would have shown them after doubling down twice that he did not have an advantage, that he was lying to his California Girls Alliance, and now they would not trust Thomas anymore. And he said in an exit press that that's why he didn't use the steal a vote because he knew that he would have been screwed at the merge and have nobody trusting him if he lied about his
Mhm.
advantage and then used the advantage without telling his tribe, his alliance. So that's why he
Yeah.
didn't use it. For the longevity of the game, it was smart for him not to use it. But
Mhm.
he did go home, so it would have been smarter to save himself, obviously. But that would have
Yeah.
caused a lot of distrust and made his path to winning a lot harder.
hmm Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I just feel like I don't know. I mean, I guess he would have been fucked either way if you think about it.
Yeah, he kind of would have been fucked either way. So unfortunately, better to be fucked and still be in the game than not be in the game. But there's also no way of knowing that he was going to be the vote in the
Mm,
idol play too. Like even if Kyle had
exactly.
an idol, there's still a 1 out of 3 chance that
hmm
that Thomas is not the person they chose. It could have been Shaheen, it could have been Joe. So that's also something he was probably considering. Like I could still we could still lose a California girl, but there's a 1 in 3 chance that it's going to be me. Like, why risk playing the steal vote anyway? And I think
hmm
that's kind of why Say didn't vote for Justin in the third tribal council because if Mary didn't hit her shot in the dark, then she could say that she was still staying loyal to Justin. But
hmm
let's say Mary was going home no matter what because it would have been not safe. Now Justin doesn't trust Say. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you have to weigh like something crazy could happen at tribal, but if it doesn't happen and I do this different vote or different play to save myself, then I just wasted it and now I lost trust in my allies. So it's
Mhm.
like it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, literally.
So episode 5, a big thing that happened, it literally made Jeff cry on the show for the first time
hmm
is the powerful moment between Eva and Joe. And Eva had a really tough time with that challenge, was super overwhelmed. She was literally crying while she was doing the challenge. And then when she won, she knew she was safe, but was still so overwhelmed because of what just happened. and couldn't control herself, couldn't calm down. She was literally screaming in like pain, but not like actual pain, more like just like, mental pain, I guess. Um, that was like going through her body. And Jeff allowed Joe to go over and hug her and calm her down, which was interesting because Jeff broke the wall because you're technically not allowed to go over to the other tribe. So one thing that I do want to talk about before we get into, the whole Eva Joe dynamic, do we think this was fair for Jeff to do? Could Jeff not have like himself helped Eva out? Like, why are you know that Joe and Eva are so close. Nobody else does out of the other two tribes, to your knowledge, at least, Jeff. And so, but you're pointing out specifically Joe, like, hey, Joe, do you want to go over there? Because Jeff knows the only person who knows about her autism is Joe. I feel like that's kind of like breaking the rules of the game. You're just the host. You shouldn't be like calling out a duo and like forcing
Mhm.
them to show their cards just to calm her down. Like I feel like you could have had medical help calm her down. Um, it brought us a great survivor moment, but I feel like that just screwed up Joe and Eva's game when you can tell like Joe wanted to go help, but he knew that he couldn't for his game. And then when Jeff allowed it, he was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But like, I feel like if Joe really wanted to, he probably could have just went over there without Jeff saying anything. But he didn't because he wanted to protect the duo. So what do you think about Jeff asking Joe,
Um,
do you want to go over there, specifically singling him out?
I mean, I have mixed feelings about this. I don't mind that he asked Joe if he wanted to go over there because Joe was lurking the whole time. He clearly wanted
He
to do
was
something.
lurking.
He clearly wanted to do something about it. That I didn't mind Jeff asking him to go over there and help her do whatever. What I did mind was after the fact when he basically not just outed them, not put a target, but literally put a whole bounty on Joe and Ava, outed them as a duo. They're both fucked. Like,
Yeah, because it
I
because
don't
it could have just been like a past tribe member helping a past tribe member. It didn't have to be that they were like this insanely close duo. Like Jeff called it out, like, hey, like now that everyone sees how close you were, like they could have been enemies on the tribe, but Joe's just a nice guy and wanted to help Eva out. So like that also you make a good point. Like Jeff shouldn't have brought that up unless they brought it up first.
yeah, literally.
Yeah. So I don't know. There are definitely moments in Survivor where Jeff does kind of put himself into the game when he probably shouldn't. Um,
Yeah.
there's a difference between uh, you know, carrying on a conversation as a host and starting up drama that is not already known by everybody. Um, so something I think he should be a little more careful of, but at the same time, in the moment, it was a very difficult scene to see. And I think Jeff maybe wasn't thinking too much about like, oh shoot, like I am scared to out them, and more so like I want to make sure that she's getting the help she needs. And also he probably knew it was going to be a good moment. So he was like, all right,
Yeah.
like let's make some good TV here.
No, yeah, you're on to it. Literally, there's so much going through his head, like, oh, what should I do? Oh, Joe's looking over there. Oh, this could make great TV. Like, there's just all these different things going through Jeff's head, and it's like, I totally get where he was coming from at that point. Because, like, I mean, if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And I mean I mean, if they didn't already love Joe, like everyone loves Joe. Like he's definitely the fan favorite, I feel like, of the season. I love Joe. He's such a great guy. Um, and I love him and Eva's relationship, but I just know that there's just there's no way that they both make it far. Like one of them will be out within the next five tribal councils for sure. Like guaranteed.
yeah,
And if they
no,
don't, that then everyone else is stupid.
I think Ava goes sooner than later, and
I think
Joe.
she goes home with the idol in her pocket.
I could see that. I could. she would do that. I feel like she could be one of those. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about her. I mean, before the episode, I didn't like the way she acted towards Star and even towards Charity. Like,
Oh, thinking
I don't
Charity's
know.
fake, but I don't know. Everyone in this, every single person who's met Charity so far has pretty much said a confessional about how she is unlikable or like is very much on the bottom, or the way she talks or is fake is like it seems like
I
a
have mixed
Venus
feelings about her.
situation, except yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
much like a Venus situation, except for the fact that Venus was, I
I feel
feel
like
like, a
Venus was
lot
more likable.
crazier. Venus was more likable.
Well, I mean, Venus was more like likable for the fans. I don't know.
Right, for the
I
fans,
have
yeah.
mixed feelings about Charity. Yeah.
I feel like Charity is more likable in the game than Venus, but I feel like for the
Oh
fans,
yeah.
Venus is a bigger character, which
Yeah.
and someone like Venus who made it to the final seven makes sense why she was a big character in the game. Charity is getting a similar like edit in terms of people hating her, but she's not getting a good edit. And that's what
She's a
makes me
background
think that
character.
she is going to be one of the next two boots. I don't think she's making the jury.
Yeah. Talking about one of the next two boots. I think she goes home tonight.
You think she goes home tonight? I think she goes home tonight too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we were going to talk about predictions after finishing episode five, but we can totally come back to episode five and talk about it right now. I think Charity is going home next. I think she's literally about to go home. I think that
It's gotta be a Siva.
I think every single, maybe not every single, but almost every single new era Mergatory boot has been someone on the outs of their original tribe.
Hmm.
So that makes me think it's
I
going to
was
be
gonna say this.
Star, Charity, I guess kind of Eva because people didn't like the whole Joe Eva pair and that was being talked about. So Charity and Mitch technically was kind of on the outs. So I'd say Charity and Mitch from that tribe. I'd say Star or Eva from that tribe. And then from Green, I would say Cedric or Say because they can't trust each other anymore. So I think one of those six for sure is going home, and I think it's going to be Charity.
I think for sure, considering it's been two loggy back to back, we're for sure one of the OG Sivas got to go tonight. For sure. And it's
Yeah.
all gonna say the same thing. It's always someone on the bottom of their tribe. Mariah, Rome. Can't think of anyone else, but I'm sure there's
There
more.
were others. I get Sydney from 41.
Oh
Um,
yeah. We'll be seeing her on our screens again sooner than later, I guess.
yeah,
But
because right, she's on the challenge.
yeah, I forgot. That's right.
Hmm.
She's
Yeah.
still in it too.
Oh, okay, awesome. There we go. Um,
And then fucking
also,
yeah, no, literally. So I think
I
it's
think
Cherry.
David also could possibly be a boot coming up.
I think he goes sooner than later too, yeah.
You
Because
want to know
I
why I
seem
think that David's going home soon?
yeah, why?
I think David is going home soon because a TikTok was posted of David, Kevin, and Thomas dancing with each other. And why would they seem like such close buddies if they weren't all at Ponderosa together? And the only way they're all at Ponderosa together is if they're part of the pre-jury Ponderosa. So I think David is one of the next two.
Yeah.
Sneaky suspicion based on the TikTok.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like in the next time a Survivor preview, like the Rule of Four bringing others in, you got David, who's super close with Ava and Camilla. I feel like he was the closest to them out of everyone on Tiva. And then and Shaheen will probably bring in Eva. They'll probably be running things for a little bit. I think David goes sooner than later, just because like I mean, the guy's jacked. He'll
Mhm.
probably win a couple immunities and get taken out for being a threat.
I think
But
Joe and David and Eva will be working together for sure. But
mhm,
I could also totally see everyone else turning on him just because he's this big guy who's going to be a challenge threat.
yeah, definitely. I think
So,
he's gonna be one of the first couple of jurors, probably.
okay, you think first couple of jurors? I definitely think if he does make it to jury, first couple of jurors, yeah. But I got this TikTok theory and I'm sticking to it. I think it's going to be Charity and then David, and then it's going to open up and be a 4-4-3 split. And that's when Say goes home. Say goes home
Oh,
in
that
the final 11 split tribal thing that they usually do. That's my guess.
well, if we're talking theories, I saw, so I forget where I saw this. Say posted on Instagram after leaving Fiji that she lost 35 pounds. She's got to be going deep.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
if you're
getting,
losing 35 pounds, you probably go deep. That's very interesting.
I don't know. I'm getting third place vibes from her. Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could also
zero
see
play,
her
zero
losing
votes.
fire. I could see her losing fire.
Yeah, I feel like her. I feel like between her, and Mary, and Cedric, I think she has the most endgame potential. Mary could get taken out for being a social threat, but I don't see her making final three. I think Cedric goes sooner than later too, to be honest.
Cedric's time is coming soon. He's cooked.
Yeah.
He's cooked. I think he's going soon too, but I don't think he's going super soon. I think he's Cedric
No.
will make the jury. If he doesn't make the jury, that's insane. I think he'll make the jury, but I feel like Cedric's the kind of guy who would go home like 10th, like 10th place or ninth place.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think he's out by like final eight probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't see him going that far.
I think he's the first one out between him, Say, and Mary. Definitely.
Yeah. Also, with Eva talking about her autism and saying that to everybody, what do you think about that? I mean, she could have totally just lied and said like, oh, like, she was just overwhelmed from the challenge and like Joe calmed me down. But no, she decided to tell everyone it was time to tell everyone that she had autism. I thought it was a strategic reason for her to only tell Joe. But apparently she just wasn't ready yet to tell everyone, and now she finally is ready. What did you think about that? Because
Uh,
I feel like that's gonna guarantee she doesn't make it to the end of this game.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, Garrett, I don't know if she'll make it to the end of this game. I don't think that would have affected her before, but I don't know. I I just feel like I don't know. I have mixed feelings about her. I just for some reason I could just see her saying or doing something problematic later on and just her like saying like, "Oh, I have autism," and, like brush off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something that I immediately thought when she did say it was, oh my, like what I just said, like, oh my God, like she's now guaranteed not to make it to the end. But the more I think about it, the more I realize it's not just your story. Because it kind of has been generally in the new era, which is so annoying. But it's not just your story. It's also, have you been playing a good enough game to where your story is going to give you that extra bump to win? If you like Carolyn, for example. Carolyn had a great story, yet she, according to everyone else, didn't play a great game, and so people were okay taking her to the end. Um, I mean, it's not the greatest example, but it's a decent example, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like the same thing. Like if Eva is always on the wrong side of votes, if Eva is not lying to people, if Eva doesn't have as many good connections as someone who made it to the end and was really strategic and social, Eva will make it to the end and lose. Kind of same with Mitch. Mitch having his stutter is an amazing story to have made it to the end of the game with his stutter and like he went against the odds and someone like him normally wouldn't do a good on Survivor and he was able to do so good on Survivor. That could be a winning story. However, if Mitch was not in charge of the votes most of the time and there was somebody else in final three who was running the game the whole time and seen as a threat, they will win over Mitch. So it's like if you have some big story, some big personal story, plus you're good at the game, you got the game in the bag. But if you're not playing a good game and you have that extra story, it might get you a pity vote or something at the end, but it might not get you all the way there. So Eva does have a chance. Mitch does have a chance to make it to the end when I thought both of them didn't. But I definitely think with everyone knowing what that Mitch has a stutter and Eva has autism, I don't think it's going to help their chances at all. They'll have to be bad at the game in order to make it to the end, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't really see either of them going to the end. I think seems like Mitch is on the bottom of both of his tribes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think Mitch probably goes early mid jury. Same with Eva. Eva's probably more mid jury probably. But
Hmm.
speaking of like, oh, you have the story and good gameplay. You know who kind of has both of those if he were to get to the end? Joe. Because I could see him ending up in a power position
Hmm.
and he has the story. This kind of sound kind of fucked up if you think about it, but literally all he could do is be like, "Hey, my sister was a super fan, but she passed away unfortunately. But I'm out here playing for her." Low key, he can win off that,
Wait,
and
so
he's playing a really
his
good game
sister
so
passed
far.
away?
Yeah, this.
Oh, I
Yeah, you
guess
didn't
I
hear
don't know
about
if that
that?
was talked about in episode one or not, or if I
I
completely missed
don't.
it.
I think it was. I remember hearing about it at least.
Oh, okay, okay. So I thought he was just playing for his sister because his sister couldn't get on the show. But oh wow, if yeah, that definitely will
No,
be
I'm pretty sure his sister passed away
if
like
that
a
is the
few years
case,
ago
that
or something.
definitely is, you're right, a good story at the end to talk about. Um,
Hmm.
so that could help them too. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, also speaking of Eva, we talked about this a little earlier, but Eva has an idol now. Star gave her the idol. Um, what do you think about this decision by Star?
Pretty stupid. Star is not playing a good game at all. I'm tried with Star. I love her energy, but she's playing awfully. I'm turned on her. That was the last straw for me. Why would you give it the idol? I mean, I guess they're solid now, but why would you give the idol to your biggest op? Well, was before. I don't get it. I guess it builds trust with her, but it doesn't help her standing in the game by much, really. She's still on the bottom, so
I also
you
thought it
could have
was
been
interesting.
on the you could have been on the bottom with an idol. Sorry, dude, but
No, right, yeah.
now you're just on the bottom without an idol. I don't know. That was pretty stupid.
It was stupid. I don't think she thinks she's on the bottom, which is ridiculous. And that's
No,
why she was
no.
okay with giving it up. Because she did say it was as an olive branch, but she did not say it was to put a target on Eva because now when you have an idol, you are safe for a tribal if you play it, but you're also now going to be targeted for having this idol. So if Star can make good connections with the people on the other tribes, maybe this was a good thing for her, but just being on the outside of her original tribe, I don't think it's a good thing for her. I think she will be targeted by them eventually. But I think it will put a target on Eva's back for sure. What I thought it was interesting, which I thought was pretty funny, is uh, after Eva shared that she had autism, Star was saying in her confessional, like, oh, like it all makes sense now. Like it was like, oh, so her having autism, like the way she was acting and whatnot, is like what made you not trust her and what made you want her out. And she's like, oh, like all her stuff she did, like that makes sense. She has autism. I thought
Yeah, I don't know. Like
I thought it
they
was
just
interesting that after sharing she had autism, Star is like, oh, now I want to work with you 100%. Let's run it.
yeah. I mean, Ava was acting weird towards her before that, though. I mean, Star told everyone, we were talking about earlier, Star told everyone about the idol except Ava. Because, I mean, even a little bit before that we didn't talk about, Ava straight up told Star, you should sit out in the next challenge. That's where it all started.
Yeah.
They went from that to now Star giving Ava the idol. Looks like they're going to be solid headed into the merge.
I do think they're
I
going to be
think,
solid. I think it I mean Star I think will be targeted so she'll need the idol, but in order to not have Eva cuz Eva was like immediately got on the tribe and was like, "Hey guys, I'm giving up Star. You can vote her out first. I don't care like
yeah,
vote." And then now having someone like that at the merge is detrimental because everybody wants to latch onto one name. So I feel like Star would have for sure, if Eva did not help her like open that idol, for sure would have been the first one out. And even if she kept the idol, and then probably would have been like the second boot then, and would have had to play the idol the first tribal. Like Eva would have been gunning after Star. But now that they are making up, this alliance could possibly have saved Star for a few more rounds and maybe given her a chance to make it far in the game. Star is either going to be, in my opinion, an early merge boot, or I think she will be the zero vote finalist.
Yeah, no, I think I was just about to say, I think out of all the tribes heading into merge, like at least OG wise, I think the OG Logi tribe are the most solid now that Star and Ava have a pretty good relationship. Because I
Yep.
mean, if you look at the other tribes, you got everyone hates Charity on Siva.
Hmm.
They don't really trust Mitch. I mean, Mitch and Chrissy, I guess, got a little closer on New Siva, but yeah. And then we got Vula. We don't need to go over that. That they're a mess.
They're an absolute mess.
Logi's clearly the most solid out of all the tribes, and they're probably gonna end up being a target though because of that.
Right. And also, not only that, but they do have a close relationship now with Camilla and Kyle because now they have
Mhm.
a four-person alliance, Joe and Shaheen from that group. After bonding over their family struggles that they shared with each other, they now want to go into this merge as a tight four. Definitely be bringing in Eva, um, and so and probably David now that David and Eva are close. So that six-person alliance could be deadly for at least the first half of the merge. And then they're going to realize that everyone in that alliance is the most likely to win the game, and then they're going to start turning on each other. But I think those six could possibly work together pretty well the first few votes.
Yeah, I mean, I think those four, I could see all four of them, maybe not all four of them, but like 3 out of 4 of them making it to the finale.
Yeah.
But all 6 of them getting to the end, no shot.
No.
I think for sure they'll bring in David and Eva because Joe and Eva are number ones. David's probably the closest Siva member to Kyle and Camilla.
Hmm.
I mean, other people they could probably bring in, maybe Chrissy, if they
Right.
were to
They
bring in
probably, I
seven,
feel
get the
like they probably
majority.
will bring in Chrissy, yeah. And I think
Chrissy
it'll
could
be
be,
like a four orange, three purple kind of alliance.
or Mary.
Maybe they bring in Mary, but like not as
Yeah,
like an official ally, but just like they won't target
yeah,
Mary. They'll just like have her as a number.
yeah, exactly. No, I think Mary's in one of the best spots in the game right now. She went from being in the bottom to being the best spot after the swap in a day.
I love
And
it.
she was, yeah, no, I think she's solid for
I'm
sure.
also really excited for this Say and Mary alliance to see it play out now because we didn't get a chance to see it play out. It started and then we had a tribe swap. So seeing them back on the beach together after gunning after each other, but respecting each other and now wanting to work with each other, I can't wait for it. And I really hope they do work together.
Yeah,
Um,
no,
Preferably to get Cedric out because he's a moron.
it's
I'm
gonna
so
happen.
sick of Cedric. Like he's such a bad player, and I can't wait to talk
Mhm.
about another bad move he just made in this episode 5. So, Bianca, who was lying about having a vote, she did not have a vote, and if she kept up what she did the entire time up until 5 minutes before tribal, it would have been a 2-2 vote with Bianca as the swing, but she would not have had a vote. So it would have tied at tribal, and then they would have had to revote, and it would have stayed the same probably, or Cedric would have flipped. And then if it stayed the same, then it would have been where either what would it have been? Then Cedric and Mitch would have had to decide together on who to vote out, either Say or Chrissy. And Cedric, I feel like, would have flipped on Say.
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah. And then now Bianca is not trusted at all by anyone on that tribe. But if you think about it, the entire obviously anything can happen in the new era, but the new era always goes to Murgatory at Final 13. So Bianca should have just kept her mouth shut, knew that she was going to be safe if she kept her mouth shut. And then great, you have three people who don't trust you, but they're not from your original tribe. You get to now go back with your original tribe and possibly have them who trust you help you maneuver through the game because if you don't go home, Bianca, your original tribe still has 5 people. So you just need to pull in like one, two, 3 people, and now you have majority. So, and they could probably have flipped it on like, yeah, we have 5, but also Orange has 6 because in that case scenario, Say would have went home. So it would have been a like we have 5, but this tribe has 6. Let's all team up on this tribe. Bianca would have been fine. So I think telling Cedric, I think was very silly. If you're gonna tell Cedric, you tell him to gain his trust. You tell him immediately. I feel like
Mhm.
right before tribal made him weary. Like it was almost the equivalent of you not telling him at all, except you gave them the opportunity to turn on you before finding out the knowledge. Like if Justin like Justin lied to Cedric, but he didn't tell him. So there was a chance that if that tribe went as planned and Mary went home and it was revealed that Justin lost his vote, or now it was revealed the next morning that there was no reward at the camp, then Cedric would now not trust Justin. But this gave Cedric the opportunity to be like, oh, Bianca lied to me. Like, let's vote her out right now. And
Mhm.
he was somehow able to tell Chrissy. I don't know how. I'm excited to find out if it is even revealed in this episode. I don't think it will be, but Bianca said in Exit Press that she was watching Cedric like a hawk, and Cedric talked to nobody before Tribal. So maybe this was during Tribal and it was like a kind of a like a whisper or something. I'm not sure. Or maybe they did have a conversation and Bianca looked away for a second and missed it. I don't know. But Mitch and Say were left out of this vote, and I think Say is gonna be pissed, even though Cedric literally just saved Say's ass because Say would have went home if he didn't do anything. But
Mhm.
I bet Say is going to be pissed at Cedric for lying to him again, her again. 3 tribals in a row. Cedric has lied to Say. Say is so done with Cedric.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, easily. I mean,
What do you think about this choice to of Cedric to take out Bianca instead of Say?
it was smart for him, but it's gonna backfire. I mean, getting out Bianca is better for his game than taking out Say right now. But considering you fucked her over 3 tribal councils in a row, Say's gonna turn on him. It's just a matter of when. And I feel like with Cedric, it's like, damn, if you tell him you lost your vote, you get voted out. You don't tell him you lost your vote, you get voted out.
Yeah, seriously. That
Like,
that's so funny. It's like like Justin, I'm sending you home because you didn't tell me you lost your vote. Bianca, I'm sending you home because you told me you lost your vote.
no, literally. I mean, something clearly got edited out, whether if it was a conversation between Cedric and Chrissy right before they got the tribal, or a conversation, a little whisper conversation during tribal that was edited out. Something happened that was edited out clearly
Yeah,
between Cedric and Chrissy. It's just a matter of what it is. Probably will get revealed at the beginning, I'm sure, just like the Kyle playing his extra vote, which was edited out as well.
right, right. Yeah. And I think that getting rid of Bianca, I mean, I guess for Cedric, it was kind of the right move, but Bianca was told telling only one person about this, showing that she trusts him 100%. And right now, with Cedric having voted for go up until this tribal council, every single person he's been on a tribe with, he needs to build more trust with people. And if he has Bianca's trust, maybe Bianca will go to the purple people and be like, we can trust Cedric. So I feel like having Say in this game, who you just voted for twice, and you should understand probably won't trust you very far into this game, compared to Bianca, who you just met and you could have built trust with to now have that relationship to go very far into the merge with. I think it would have been smarter for him to turn on Say. And so, but of course, he's going to make the dumber decision for himself, and vote out Bianca, who literally just practically said, like, out of the people on this tribe, you're my number one. And then was like, okay, like, kind of like Justin, like Kevin's like, oh, Justin, you're my number one. Okay, let me vote you out real quick. Like Green, Cedric and Justin were just completely whack. And then the way Say talks at Tribal is whack. And
Hmm.
Mary, Mary is great. She just ended up
Mary's
being on the
awesome.
bottom.
It's unfortunate. Bianca gone too soon. Fellow
She
Jersey
was so
person.
blindsided. She was so upset.
Hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
Cedric. I think Cedric's on borrowed time. He's gonna be like that early mid jury, like I said earlier. And then
Mhm.
yeah, Chrissy. I feel like Chrissy's been a background character too so far. I feel like we didn't really see much of her except in this episode.
Yeah, I could see Chrissy possibly being uh um a pre-merge, a pre-jury boot, possibly because she's not getting edited very much. Or I could see her maybe being a zero vote finalist. Um, or
Yeah,
I could see her losing in fire. I could see her being idled out. Um, something like that. But she doesn't strike me as someone who's going to be targeted as a threat. So I
yeah.
wonder how she gets voted out, either early for not being connected or later because she has no chance of winning.
Honestly, I feel like she's one of those where like you can't really predict when she's gonna go. Like she could go whenever.
I wonder if
She's
she's
in a
kind of like a Heather.
she's in a solid spot with wait, what season? Oh, 41.
41, how she's like the Heather who got like fourth place. Like she didn't really get edited much, but she was still
Oh
a
yeah.
part of the season. She was still had a lot of good alliances, and apparently people were saying
Hmm.
after the season was over that if she made it to the end and Erica didn't, there was a good chance Heather would have won the game, which is crazy to
Oh
me,
yeah.
especially from that edit.
Yeah, no, I know 41 was horrible edit. I know that. But yeah, no, I mean Christy's in a really good spot. You know, she was in the core four of the OG Siva, and then now she has a really good relationship with Cedric. So I don't know, she's in a pretty good spot, but she's also getting a horrible edit. So I don't know, it's hard to predict where she's gonna end up going.
Yeah. So before we end with this podcast, I want to know your official two picks for who is not going to make the jury, um, and in what order. I want to know right now who your final three is and who's your winner pick.
All right. So who I have going tonight, I said earlier, probably Charity. I think, like we said earlier, there's a track record. If you're on the bottom of the tribe with the most, almost the most people heading into Murgatory, you're a goner. Charity's not getting the best edit. I think she's gone tonight. And then as for next week, I haven't really thought about that. I could. Hmm. Probably Star, to be honest. I don't really think she's in that good of a spot socially. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if two Sivas would go back to back. Maybe David, but I think he's in a good spot socially. Yeah, I'm gonna say Charity and Star.
Okay.
And then what would you say?
I'm gonna say Charity. I agree with you. I think Charity is gonna go home as the first boot of the Mergatory. And then after that, I'm sticking with my TikTok theory. I'm going David. I think he's going to be seen as a challenge threat. He's going to be seen as a social threat too. And I do think he has good relationships, but I don't think he has good enough relationships with majority of the cast. Will he have an alliance? Yes, but will it be strong enough to not have majority of the votes fall on him? I don't know. So I'm gonna go with David. I also think there's a chance that in this Mergatory, sometimes the split happens at final 11, sometimes final 10, sometimes final 12. So if it does happen final 12 and he gets put on a tribe with people who are like maybe he gets three purples. If it's three purples, a green, and an orange, they're probably gonna say goodbye to the orange, and that's David. So I could see
Yeah.
that being a reason why he ends up being pre-merge. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Charity and then David. And who is your
Hmm.
final three?
My final three coming in third place. Probably Say. I don't know. Out of everyone left, I'm getting. the most third place vibes from her. I don't know. And then for my runner up, I'm gonna have to say Shaheen. I think out of besides my winner pick, I think he's the second or third highest contender right now. Like he's definitely one of the front runners to win this season for sure. Like he's in my top three.
Hmm.
And then my winner, I'm sticking with my guy Joe. I think I Joe's in the power position right now. He ran Loggy. He's got the Vula 4 headed into Murgatory. He's in a really good spot. I could see two of that Vula 4 in the final three. And yeah, Joe, Shaheen, and Say. That's what I'm going with. It's clearly a male dominated season, but there's no way it's gonna be all guys in the final three.
Right, right. I don't think so either. Um, okay, so my final three, you know, I never really had like a set final three that I thought. I'm curious to figure out who this second place person was. I'm thinking about it, but who I think is the third place finisher is Chrissy. I think Chrissy is getting an edit, like not a good edit, but at the same time, I feel like unless something crazy happens, who the hell is taking her out for being a threat? Unless she's kind of playing like an Erica and is actually just getting unedited, but is actually playing a great game. Um, I feel like Chrissy has the ability to make it far. We've also seen people not edited much pre-merge end up making it far in the game and getting more of an edit during the merge. I could see that being Chrissy. Um, she definitely was had a lot more confessionals than Mitch did in this last episode. So that makes me think maybe Mitch isn't too long for the game because Chrissy wasn't that big into the strategy of this vote. It was really just like she was one of the possible names to be voted out, and then she only got one vote. So I think her getting edited a little more will put her into that third place position. I think the winner of this season is going to be, in my opinion, either Kyle or Camilla. Um, my winner pick has always been Kyle since Kevin's vote out. I mean, it was always Kevin or Kyle, and then once Kevin's gone, now it's Kyle or Camilla. So I'm going to stick with Kyle, although I kind of think that Camilla might have a better shot of flying under the radar. She could also be seen as someone who is like uh a strategic, good social player who can fly under the radar. And they might the bigger personalities might be like it's scarier to have someone like Camilla than someone who's so obviously a big threat that we can get out later, like Kyle. So I think Kyle is my winner pick. Chrissy is my third place. And then I think there's going to be either a purple or a green in there with them. I'm going to go with a green making it to the end. Um, I think it's going to be Mary. I think Mary gets second place.
Ooh,
I think Kyle gets first,
okay.
and I think Chrissy gets third. That's what I'm thinking. I
Oh,
think Mary could
super.
win though. I think it might be a tight fight between Kyle and Mary if that's the case, but I think Kyle will win that. Um, yeah, what do you think about that?
I'm not gonna lie. I think, but I know you're back and forth between Camilla and Kyle. I think Camilla is more likely to get the end than Kyle because Kyle was well before at least before the episode 4 tribal. Kyle was on the bottom. If he didn't have that idol, he was going. So he's already being seen as a threat. I feel
Right.
like he's more likely than Camilla to be seen as a threat. Camilla's like the smallest person out there. She could easily fly under the radar, like an Erica.
Hmm.
I
I
think,
think Kyle and Camilla could possibly make it to maybe final five or together, and then maybe one of them gets, and then Kyle wins immunity, and they have to take Camilla out or something like that.
yeah, no, I can
I
see.
think likelihood of making it to the end, Camilla has a better chance, but I feel like there's a chance that with a lot of big personalities and big threats working together, I think they could all be like, hey, like let's keep all the bigger threats, the bigger obvious threats in and take out this big threat who's not as obvious. Or it could be like it's smarter to get the big threat that's not as obvious out now because later down the line, when you might be in trouble, you can pitch, let's say, voting out Kyle a lot easier than pitching, let's vote out Camilla, because people will obviously see Kyle as a threat. And then the longer you don't vote out Kyle, the more chances you give him to make it to the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I think a lot of people have a great chance of winning, but I do think that it's going to be one of those that Vula
Rule of four.
4 from the tribe swap plus Mary. I think one of those five will win the game. Um,
Yeah. I'm
and
with
for
you
your
there.
Shaheen second place, I think it could happen, but I think
I just came up with that.
yeah, Camilla did mention that they were going back and forth between Thomas and Shaheen and who to vote out uh with the idol because Shaheen is a sneak looks like it seems like a sneaky player. And so if literally only a day or two on the beach, Camilla's already clocking Shaheen as a sneaky player, I think people are gonna clock that at
Yeah.
the merge too. And I don't think Shaheen is going to make it to the end. But if he does make it to the end, I don't think he'll get the jury support to win. So
Yeah, no.
if he makes it to the end, I do think you're right, second place. But
Yeah, no. I don't know. I feel like based out of everyone besides Joe, I feel like he has the most end game potential out of everyone on Loggy, maybe even Siva too. I feel like we got to see 2 out of 4 that new Vula in the final three,
I
and
hope we do because then that'll be an amazing final tribal.
I feel like we will. And then I don't know. I feel like based off what I said earlier, Say's like the perfect third place finalist because that post leaked of her losing all that weight, and then she just the way she rubs everyone on the cast the wrong way, even someone she never met in Fiji like Thomas.
Yeah, I could
Uh,
totally see it.
I feel like she's destined to get third place,
Yeah.
which I
All
would
right.
love to see.
I love these predictions. I can't wait to find out if either one of us is correct. Chayne, thank you so much for hopping on and recapping the entirety of the pre-merge with me, the best moments of the pre-merge. And next up on the podcast is going to be the first 4 rounds of the merge. So we're going to get the first 2 pre-jury boots from the mergatory, as well as the first 2 jurors. And that one is going to be an amazing podcast too. But so happy that you were able to finally come on and help recap the pod with us.
Yes, sir. Yo, thank you for having me, my guy. Yo, real quick, I have a sports and reality TV podcast called Call of the Game. Go check it out on YouTube and Spotify. Not gonna lie, probably won't be able to drop an episode for a minute because of school, but I'll still be posting content on Instagram and TikTok. Go follow those at Call of the Game Podcast. Well, I guess TikTok might get banned again, but at least go follow it for sure.
Yeah, definitely go follow his podcast. I've watched it before. It's good. It's fun. And if you're a sports person, I mean, he talks a lot about this about sports and also betting, right?
Yeah, football, basketball, a little betting. I've started talking about reality TV more, Survivor. I
Okay,
was talking
cool.
about the traders, Deal or No Deal Island a lot. Yeah, especially, yeah, speaking, we were talking about Carolyn earlier.
Hmm.
How the fuck did CBS see Carolyn on Traders and decide to drop her from 50?
I know. Yeah, getting people getting dropped on 50. Carolyn, Jesse got dropped. That's
Mhm.
crazy. Jesse absolutely should have been on that season. Um, I that's ridiculous. And there were a lot
Malcolm.
more drops that happened that I was kind of shocked about. Um,
Mhm.
but from what's getting leaked of possible people on the cast, it seems like it is going to be a pretty good cast. And it seems
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure they said 3 new era players are going to be on the season, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like Hugh, Jonathan, and Genevieve. Well, Genevieve, I'm surprised because Jeff said he don't want any villains on the season,
Yeah, but I don't
which
know.
Genevieve
Maybe
definitely
Genevieve
wasn't.
is kind of a villain, but she was also like really nice and wanted to make
Yeah,
friends. I don't know.
she was a nice villain, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, but Q is also a villain, kinda. So I mean, he did say he wanted like no villains, but at the same time, he was also saying he wanted it to be fun. And I think
yeah,
Genevieve and Q will make it fun.
we're both fun. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you guys next for our first half of the merge recap podcast. All right. See you guys.
See ya.